The only caveat I would add to that is, is what's sustainable.
Oh yeah.
So like there's, you're giving people choice, freedom, and then there's diversity that comes from that.
Yeah. So the other piece.
So like if you like, to use nature as an example, like, everything in nature has the freedom kind of to grow and be what it is, or to act in its nature. There's in nature, there's so much diversity. There's like these ecosystems.
Yeah.
But that ecosystem will only like thrive to a certain extent that's sustainable for that system. Like you introduce something out of it.
So in this metaphysics, there's also the trade-off between actuality and potentiality. So choice includes both. Because if you just, let's say you want to exercise your choice now, I want to eat all the rabbits.
Yeah.
But then that would then deplete your potential. So it's not just because we exist in this time, right? There's this, he calls it the symmetry and there's continuity. So there's actuality and potential. We can't have 100% actuality because that will mean it's what we're doing. We just want profit now. And but at the same time, we can have 100% potential because that means we're not exercising, we're not doing anything. It's just always this. I like the way he talks about it. He always says, there's also another thing he says, with every freedom comes a limitation. With every limitation comes a freedom. You can't, they're distinct, they're separate, but they're inseparable. It's like I was applying that in quarantine, like, oh, I'm limited now, but the limitation comes with all this freedom. And the freedom of having so many Zoom calls to attend also comes with the limitation that I have to choose which one and miss others. It's like they're like all together.
So that's the thing. So we're only we're limited human beings, and we're only sort of we can only sustain so much over time, and so that becomes a caveat for sort of choice, and that's something for us all to sort of discover for each of us. And and then we're growing as people as well. Like what is sustainable today it might be different in a year's time.
Yeah, I mean, on a systems level, since we're talking about the breakdown of systems, Daniel Schmachtenberger, he talked about the possibility that can open up is a steady state. Because the economy we build now has to grow. It's like a cancer. It has to grow every year. Clearly that's. So what we're saying, there could be a steady state where we recycle the atoms, because the atoms are finite. But the energy is coming from the sun, so it's coming into the system. So we create a non-linear economy that recycles the atoms. But what changes is the patterns. Is what we create out of the recycled atoms can be becoming more beautiful and beautiful, because combinatorially it's almost infinite. Like if the number of ways you can combine a certain number of atoms is it's incalculable. So we just need to think of that way, that everything, for example, why do we need to own each one? But if you have access to it, then we could just come up with more interesting ways of giving access to the same atoms, so that we don't have to exhaust all the atoms to make 10,000 glasses per person. What if we could have one glass, and how can this be recycled to so many number of people? It's like, I guess this is where the real work needs to begin, is how do we create new systems like that?
I think that's important, because if you don't have that, coming back to sustainability, if you don't have sustainability, then there isn't really diversity. If you don't have diversity, then you don't have freedom, really, because it's it's going to crash.
We need diversity for survival, because we don't know what new thing will happen. And if there's only one way of surviving, and that happens to be hit by this new thing, then everything dies. But if there's 1,000 ways of doing things, then maybe the 999 will still work. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to create more.
Yeah.
We should always keep creating more potential as we actualize stuff. So yeah, those two things again. Yeah. And I think we could do it because I think we can see it. Like.
Yeah, I think it's kind of happening in little ways.
It's just we're not seeing it. No one's seeing. We're not being taught how to look at the whole thing. We're like taught, oh, you're studying economics, you just learned that. You're a doctor, you just learned that.
Yeah.
So doctors don't know anything about finance. Finance don't know anything about health, and that's the problem. I think we need to recreate a new education that.
Yeah.
It's grounded in the sciences and engineering we've learned over the years, but including the myths and it's time to bring it all together again.
Yeah. Let's see. Everyone's doing their little bit, and hopefully a lot of us are starting to wake up more and more, and we're being faced with what's real now. We're coming into this moment of awareness, and we haven't reached the approval stage yet. We're not yet fully connected to our experience. But so that's the next phase, and if we do, then something can emerge.
Yeah. Awesome. Good.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah. Let's catch up again to see.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're in a community and you can experiment with stuff.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really interesting see how the story develops here.
Yeah. And the next call we have will be a different flavor again. This is so different from the last one. I guess it's and it's so fast. Things are changing so fast. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
Good. But it's good to maintain this continuity.
Yeah, no, enjoying for sure.
Regards to everyone there, and see you around.
Muito house, Solagria, as we say in the Amazon.
How do you say it?
How do you say it?
House.
Yeah.
House. Feels good.
It's like an affirmation. It's like it's like saying amen. It's like it's approval, actually.
Yeah, I like the physicality of it.
Yeah.
It's like a breath. All right.
Awesome,
Thank
bro.
you, Scott.
Cheers.
Cheers.